Tax reform. It's happening. A lot of people aren't happy about it. Finance Minister Morneau, I believe is his name, got reamed out at a city hall. A petition against the tax reform has some 50,000 signatures. I don't know if it was created by, but it was definitely endorsed by Arlene Dickinson of Dragon's Den, which is the Canadian Shark Tank. Be perfectly honest, I can't do my own taxes. I'm no expert here, but it all seems a little sketchy to me. Now, the waters are already muddied on this. Trudeau loves to go on about how they've already cut taxes for the middle class, and yet studies are showing that, on average, Canadians are paying more in income tax, something like $840 annually. But other sources say that that's offset by the new childcare benefits. But if you don't have children, you don't get that benefit. And with a repopulation rate of something like 1.6, seems a lot of Canadians aren't having kids and so aren't eligible for that benefit and end up only paying more in taxes. Part of the reasoning for the tax reform is that the current tax system allows someone earning $300,000 to use a private corporation to save about as much as the average Canadian earns in a year. Imagine for a moment what the average Canadian earns in a year. Just guess. And a person making $300,000 can save that much under the current system? How much is that person being taxed already? Well, here's a clue. In Ontario, the top almost 100,000 of that 300,000 is being taxed at a rate of 46%. It's insane. And muddied waters, when they say average, do they mean the average family? Because the average family makes about $76,000 annually. But the average individual only makes about 27 change. So which of those numbers is Morneau using here? Our finance minister, I'm not sure. It's not clear. This leads to situations where an incorporated doctor can be taxed at a lower rate than a nurse practitioner or a police officer. That just sounds cherry-picked. This leads to situations? Sure, I'm sure there are situations in which a doctor is being taxed at a lower rate than a nurse, but I don't think that's what's happening across the board. Now, a doctor coming out of med school and starting his own practice is already in something like $150,000 to $200,000 in student debt. And now, he or she is taking out a business loan to open their private practice. They have to pay nurses, they have to pay administrators, they have to pay overhead. They have to take all that risk while they're still in debt. This person is going to be in debt for 15, 20, 25 years. If they can find ways to save money on their taxes to pay down their debts over their life, good for them. Good job. I believe it was the late 80s, early and mid 90s. Canada experienced a phenomenon called the brain drain, where highly skilled people who were in a lot of debt from school couldn't afford to practice in Canada. Mostly doctors. They were being taxed to such a degree that it wasn't feasible to live in Canada, pay the tax in Canada, work in Canada, so they all left to the United States to get jobs in not pay nearly as much tax, and then they could pay down their debts and survive at the same time. This tax reform is starting to feel very similar to that, except it doesn't apply only to doctors and highly skilled people. It applies to basically anyone trying to open their own business. That it's making it less feasible. It's making it more risky. On top of the risk of bankruptcy, you're more likely to go bankrupt with this kind of tax reform. It's a disincentive to start a business. Now, my father owned his own business, and I wish I had paid more attention when he was trying to explain to me the ins and outs of the family business. Because I remember him saying, there's this tax incentive. I don't know the specifics. There's that tax incentive. And I don't know the specifics because I wasn't paying attention. But what I do remember is him saying over and over again, if it wasn't for these tax incentives, there was years that we wouldn't have made it. My father wasn't wealthy. He wasn't poor, but he wasn't rich. He was in his 40s when he bought a house and managed to have 2 cars in the driveway. Nothing fancy. A little pickup truck and a Mazda 626. And that's the kind of person that's going to really feel the effects of this tax reform. Trudeau loves to say it's the wealthiest Canadians who are unfairly cheating the system. But what he doesn't mention is that the top 10% wealthiest Canadians are the Canadians making $80,000. Don't get me wrong. That's not no money at all. But that's what wealthy is in Canada. Top 10%. Making $80,000 plus. And those are the people that these tax reforms are going to fuck. Apologies and thank yous. Apologies to anyone who's missed me, because I haven't posted a video in over 2 weeks now. In particular, VidMe Fan 101Z. Only person who's paying for something that you get for free. You're fucking crazy, but I appreciate it, and I'm very sorry that I haven't been more active immediately after you give me $1. I really am sorry. And thank you to Black Cat Family at Redbubble. T-shirt, tapestry. I also have a duvet and a couple of pillows. Not because it was free, but because it's fucking awesome. Just check that shit out. That's incredible, right? Anyway, okay. Enough shilling. Relevant links to shit I said in the description? Maybe. I'm Irving Twin. Like, subscribe, or don't. It's a free country. At least it used to be.